UFC 324 Gaethje versus Pimblett has wrapped up, guys. And like Mr. Kenny, I always say I'm the best predictor on this app, and I mean it. We're starting off this year 100%. Didn't get a single pick wrong. Yeah, baby, yeah. All right, maybe we get one pick wrong, but it didn't count. So we haven't got a single pick wrong, guys. 100% to start off the year. I'm the best predictor. I actually had the best prediction rate out of every YouTuber alive right now, so that's pretty badass, dude. And I'm so happy. Everything I said in the main event came true. I said Justin Gaethje was going to ruin the plans of Dana White. I said Paddy just keeps his chin in the air, and he's not a very good striker. I said Paddy Pimblett went in there and lost to Jared Gordon after having a war with him. Everything I said about Paddy leading up to the fight was true, and everything Justin Gaethje I said about him was true. And Gaethje wasn't even the best version of himself. Let's just start off with the main event, because we're going to start from the main event and go down. I want to say something. This was one of, if not the lowest level UFC championship fight I've seen in a while. Like, as far as the men's division's concerned, guys, like, I'm not even trolling. Gaethje, he fought well in the fact that he fought well to beat Paddy. A lot of misses from him, a lot of falling over himself, a lot of tripping over himself, a lot of just lackluster technique in this fight. And Paddy Pimblett was just ass, eh? Paddy was so bad. Paddy nearly got finished in the first round. One thing I will reward Paddy for, or applaud Paddy for, is his chin. Dude's durable. Like, he was taking a beating and he kept coming, he kept fighting. So I'll give him credit. You know, his chin was very impressive. But as far as like skill for skill, there's a reason they couldn't let Paddy fight Arman. And there's a reason Dana was trying to give him Justin Gaethje, because he thought Justin Gaethje was just another 37, 40-year-old, just like Bobby Green and Michael Chandler and Tony Ferguson, that Paddy could get through to set up a super fight. Now, before this, I didn't even look at Paddy as someone who's a crazy superstar. I'll be real. His walkout, a lot of the flair he had, a lot of that, guys, I was like, okay, he's a superstar. Like, I actually started to think, okay, maybe, because the crowd was going crazy, you know, and like, Paddy just was vibing. He was doing the stupid shit. Fucking, what the hell are you doing, boy? Let me hold your face when I say this, brother. All your life you come in train and you get done like this. Be careful, brother. You're not our level. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get how he's so confident. I actually was nervous. I thought his confidence was like, did I pick this wrong? Did I misinterpret this fight? No, I never misinterpret a fight. I'm the best predictor, baby. I'm stroking the ego, because people were calling me crazy all week for saying Justin Gaethje stylistically is just a nightmare. You know, Gaethje did a whole lot of, let me just press you and overwhelm you with not even volume, but power. He wasn't even trying to overwhelm with volume per se. More like, I'm going to overwhelm you with heavy shots off close proximity or off breaks of clinches. And then he was doing something I thought was really smart. He would like land something, get into like a weird position, and try to drag down Paddy in a headlock position and just drain his energy. When he has Paddy face planted, he would just start wrenching at the neck, just making it uncomfortable. This zapped away so much energy from Paddy, but I will say, Paddy, even with the zapped energy, you know, Paddy, even with eating these shots, like Paddy's face at the end of that fight was damn near unrecognizable. He was eating some power shots. He was getting dragged down. He was getting smothered. He was getting outworked. He never gave up on himself. So scouts just really don't get knocked out. And I did say his chin was going to get tested, but in that video I made that I said, this fight's not close. I don't know what people are, like, I don't know how people aren't understanding it. They were all in the comments saying, we'll be back when Paddy wins. You guys just don't get how bad Paddy was. People were even saying that Michael Chandler getting taken down means Justin Gaethje going to get taken down. I was trying to tell you guys, Paddy's entries for his takedowns are piss poor. You know, when he tried to force takedowns against Justin Gaethje, they never really worked. You know, Gaethje was just he was very hip to that. Saw everything coming. Gaethje was in fact his worst enemy. Like, he just kept doing his negative defensive habits that I did highlight in the video, saying he always dips to the right. That's like something you can't fix, you know. That's like a habit I feel like no matter how hard he tries, he will never fix it. Like, his constant dipping to the right. Like, it led to Paddy landing some uppercuts, some knees, you know. And that's Paddy's best moments came from just Justin Gaethje fighting like an idiot. Outside of that, forward pressure, heavy shots, I'm going to outwork you. That's what Justin Gaethje did this entire fight. And I really have to applaud him, guys, because he really beat the dog shit out of Paddy. He beat Paddy up so bad, I literally couldn't believe it, man. Like, the beating he was putting on Paddy, it was amusing. But a part of me felt bad because I was like, dude, Paddy, fight back, man. Make it competitive. And he was fighting back. He'd have moments where the crowd were like, oh, he's coming back. But a lot of it was just Justin Gaethje overreacting from shots that like barely brushed him and stuff. But Paddy showed heart. He showed resilience. It was actually it was a fight of the night, in my opinion. Paddy showed that he was game in there. But what this fight showed me is that outside of Arman Saruki in the lightweight division, it's extremely Extremely low level. Like, I can't believe these guys are next in line to fight Ilya. Did you see Paddy's chin in the air when Gaethje was leading that? Did you see how Gaethje just doesn't stop his negative defensive habits of leaning to the same path? Max Holloway picked that up and he 50-45'd him. These guys, this is what's bad about Dana White's whole situation. Dana can't keep giving undeserved shots, or we get extremely low-level fights that are going to be fun, but just not very high level. You put Ilya in there with these two, I think the UFC would get charged for attempted murder, because you can't legally put people who fight like this against an Ilya or against an Arman. There's a reason Arman is a justifiable number one contender, because if you put Arman versus Ilya, that's actually an interesting fight that we can think about, that we could consider, that we could have different predictions for. Not a soul in the world will look at that fight and be like, dude, Paddy, you know what? Give Paddy 2 years, he beats Ilya. Yeah, fuck off. Get out of here with that, man. No one's looking at Justin Gaethje like, dude, like the way he just walked forward and was eating the shots of Paddy and getting rocked by Paddy, who was doing really nothing and just kept leading the same way. He's probably going to be Ilya. No one believes that. Everyone knows the real number one contender. And I'm just glad Dana White's plans of like protecting Paddy and giving Paddy 40-year-olds continuously, hoping that this 40-year-old was going to be the guy. But I try to tell people, this is not your average 40-year-old. This is the same 40-year-old who beat Figueiredo. Keep in mind, Figueiredo will probably beat the dog shit out of Paddy Pimblett in a 3-round fight. And I think Paddy can, in a 5-round fight, maybe he could break him if Figueiredo breaks. But in a 3-round fight, Figueiredo beats him. Dustin Poirier, who got knocked out by Justin Gaethje, would beat Paddy. You know, Max Holloway would nearly kill this guy. You know, Paddy was just a very overhyped industry plant the whole time. And I feel like anyone with eyeballs saw it. Everyone kind of knew what Paddy was. I actually don't understand to this day why anyone picked Paddy against Justin Gaethje. Outside of the, like, if you picked him because of skill, you're delusional. If you picked him for the age, maybe I could understand you a little bit better. But after this guy lost to Jared Gordon, because Jared Gordon was just down to fight, I knew he wasn't going to have a chance against a hard hitter like Justin Gaethje, you know, who could have finished him on multiple occasions. The fight could have even been stopped on multiple occasions. I think it would have been horrible. You know, Paddy, the best thing Paddy displayed tonight was durability, in the sense that he won't get broken, which I do think is something you can't teach. But as far as skill for skill, this is a very low level fight. And just Justin Gaethje was more skilled than Paddy Pimblett. That's what it came down to. When skill came to skill, when you match these two up, there's one who is clearly superior than the other. And there's really no other way to draw it up. There's really no other way to talk about this fight other than like one-way traffic, where Justin Gaethje kind of just put it on Paddy, and Paddy was wilting, but without ever fully giving up on himself, which led to a fight that was actually entertaining to watch, but a fight that stylistically and skill-wise that no one really looked at was like, oh my God. Oh my God. These two. Just the worst interim title fight in terms of skill. One of the most entertaining interim fights, though. And I shout out Paddy for having a chin, and shout out Justin Gaethje for proving me right and being everything I thought he was going to be. Just a way better fighter than Paddy Pimblett. Because don't get it twisted. It might have been a fun fight, but it was a clear 4-1. And there's a clear differential in who's better than the guy. You know, Justin Gaethje fought stupid. He wasn't fighting defensively irresponsible. He just was walking forward and broke Paddy with momentum. So, yeah, congrats to Justin Gaethje with a poor game plan, still getting it done against Paddy Pimblett. Next up, though, we'll talk about the co-main event. I did go Sugar with this one. Sugar did pull through. I had Sugar on a very important parlay. He was the last leg, and he pulled through. But this is one of those fights, guys, I'll be real, that, like, after you watch this, you don't think Sugar, like, deserves a title shot. Like, you're not going to watch, oh, it did. Sugar deserves it, man. It's not like Sugar deserved a title shot to begin with, though. Like, no one thought Sugar deserved a title shot to begin with. Umar had that one-sided fight with Figgy, but people were saying it was boring. Then this fight for the first 2 rounds was pretty boring based on people's standards. But then the third round, Sugar turned up, and he had like a good like last 2 minutes or good last 1 minute and a half, and he ended up going against there and beating Yadong pretty comfortably. But Yadong did win the second round. Yadong did show some flaws. Like, Sugar Sean O'Malley did not improve his defensive wrestling at all. Like, you could take him down easily. You could control him easily. Like, I don't understand why Sugar didn't improve that. You would think that Sugar, after getting destroyed by Merab the way he got destroyed, would go in there with improved defensive wrestling, but there was nothing improved in that fight. Like, I don't know what Sugar improved. His striking looked good, but his striking always should look good. And it took him a little bit to grow in momentum. I honestly think that. I feel like the first 2 rounds where Sugar won the first pretty clearly, but Yadong, the way he won the second, was a little bit like Sugar just... He just showed so much flaws that Sugar still has, and it wasn't very impressive performance by Sugar. Probably not something that would get him a title. Well, it's gonna get him a title shot because it's Sugar. You know how the UFC is with the like divisional rankings and who actually deserves it and who's gonna get it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do Yan versus Sugar Sean. So Sugar, I don't know what he wants next, because this is a stylistic favorable matchup for him in Song Yadong, because Song has power and he's just a primary striker. But as far as like Song beating or Song having a competitive fight with Sugar, it just didn't do him any favors. I feel like it did more harm than good going in there against Sugar Sean O'Malley or going in there against with Song Yadong and just not performing to the best of extent. So if I had to say someone deserves a shot after this, I would say nobody does. But the UFC is probably going to give him. The UFC might do the rematch from Marab, but I just don't know how realistic that is because the UFC seems to be pushing superstars more than anything in this year, in this day and age. So we have to see what they do. Sugar didn't really impress me. Yadong didn't really impress me either. But this was co-main event because a lot of fights fell apart. Kayla Harrison fight would have been cool, but shout out Sugar Sean for like at least coming into his own, looking comfortable. His stick and move was actually very fun to watch, but he just didn't improve at all. Like his striking didn't really improve, and his defensive wrestling looks even worse. Because how's Song doing that to you? Anyways, that made Marab like wins look a little bit lackluster. Not gonna lie, but congrats to Sugar Sean O'Malley getting it done. Next up was Cortes. Okay, this fight was horrible. First of all, let's just address that elephant. Second of all, let's talk about this. Cortes-Acosta versus Derek Lewis. A part of me was like, this is a counter striker versus a counter striker. It's going to be a very boring fight. And boring fight it was until the finish. Derek Lewis just gave up on himself. He got hit with a jab, but he really just slipped. And then like, I swear to you, Cortes-Acosta said, wait, hold on. Do you mind if I walk into side control? Or like walk into side control and posture up? He's like, yeah, come here. And he walked into side control. Boom, boom, boom. Then when Derek Lewis started to turn around, just gets pounded on. It was like what even was that? Like Derek Lewis is just out of it. I don't know why anyone picked Lewis to win. I literally thought that was the dumbest pick when people were saying Lewis has a chance. Yeah, he has puncher's chance, but he was just too slow. You know, Cortes-Acosta is known for his counter punches. It could have been a very boring fight. Well, it was a very boring fight until the finish. But even the finish wasn't wicked exciting. It was literally just Cortes-Acosta saying, all right, I'm done playing. Let me get in the ground and pound and punch your face in. So congrats to Cortes-Acosta. He called out, who did he call out? He called out someone good after this, but I feel like his calls just lose meaning. I feel like he looked lackluster in that one. So we have to see more from him. Maybe put him Josh Hawkett and forgets. Like, you know, this is what I think. Next up, this fight was funny. I got this fight right, and I'll ride my prediction rate from it because it's like the 100% whatever, but Silva, she lost to Rose Namajunas 2-1, but she's younger, so they gave him the win. I don't really care too much to talk about WMMA. Like Silva lost the first 2 rounds, but since she's younger, she's gonna get a unanimous decision. It wasn't even split. So congrats to me for getting this pick right. I like my prediction rate for that, but Rose Namajunas clearly beat her the first 2 rounds, and then Silva just got privileged. She got booed at the end of it because everyone knew what happened. But yeah, good. You know, the UFC's politics. I feel like now I don't really care to talk about robberies because it's just politics at the end of the day. So congrats to her for that unearned win. Next up, Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva. One of my prouder picks. I don't think people actually think Allen won. I think they just coped. But like, it was a clear 2 rounds to 1 for Silva. Silva left a statement in that third as well. Silva jumped on this guy's back. He jumped off this guy's back at the end of the fight. That's probably the most I've laughed in a long time watching a fight. But this was just a great fight, honestly. Allen started off really well. I think Allen won 3-0 now that I think of it. Because I remember the first round started well for Allen. He was coming off heavy volume, doing a lot of volume shots. But Silva just like at the end, towards the end of the round, stole it. I feel like landing a bigger shot, rocked Allen at the very end as well. I feel like that stole it. Then the second round was clearly Silva. Third round, clearly Silva. I don't know how anyone thinks Allen won. Maybe if you just don't like Gene a lot, but you know, I'm not even too fond of Gene. He's growing on me as a fighter. He's growing on me. Great performance, great power, and he just looked like he was better than Allen. Allen has a tendency, right? He goes in there with everyone, and he kind of just does enough to lose, but he makes the fight fun. That's what he did against Gene Silva. This was his first fight since like a year, I think. So he's not like he's been here for too long, but yeah, Gene Silva just seemed a step ahead of him, and he did it. And it was a great win by Gene Silva. So shout out Gene for keeping my prediction rate looking spiffy and 100%. It was competitive in the sense that like it wasn't one-sided, but Gene Silva was definitely a clear winner. There was no robbery here at all. I don't know what people are saying. Now this fight, we got Umar versus Figgy. Now, here's the thing about Umar versus Figgy. I've never seen a former champion. Yeah, it's going to zoom out. I knew it was going to, because when I get passionate, they know, so they zoom in on my face. I've never seen a former champion, guys, go in there for 15 minutes and their game plan is to run away. You can't point to one former champion I've seen do this. He was from the start of the thing, circling, running, circling, running, and Umar was just chasing, and it's very hard for a counter striker to actually go in there and put on a good performance. Now with Cortes-Acosta and Derek Lewis, we saw 2 counter strikers, not a lot of output. Umar landed over 100 strikes on this guy while he was running away. You guys got to keep in mind, he even landed 2 takedowns on him, and he's a primary counter striker. Look at Umar's best moments when he slips and rips with 1-2s. He's done it against everyone. His best moments, like, it's just counter striking moments. He was in there against Figgy, who usually is like this. He would try to hand fight you, pull your hands down, and land some big shots. Figgy would track you down and forward pressure. he was so scared of Umar. I think the fear stemmed from the leg kicks and the speed of him. You know, Figgy usually wants a hand fight, but every time he was trying to stick his hand out there, Umar would throw like a speedy-ass roundhouse or speedy-ass question mark kick or body kick that Figgy didn't see coming. He was like, what the fuck? He's that fast? I'm going to run away for the whole fight. So his game plan was to go in there, essentially run away. And everyone on the internet, it's funny because he's Dagestani, so I know they're going to do it. Dude, how is Umar so boring, dude? How dare he chase him down? And why is Figgy was trying to fight the whole time? Like, they just try to gaslight you as if Umar was the one, like, running. You just don't, you never know with these fans. It is what it is. Way better performance of Sugar. I think it's a way more flawless performance. He went in there and just schooled Figgy. And the grappling and the striking and the ground and pound. There's no aspect he didn't school him in. You know, Figgy was just there to run away, which is a little bit weird to me. He's got to retire at this point, you know. And people said Umar should have finished him. That's not a statement. So you tell me how Umar should have finished him. He should have ran at him and just jumped at him. He should have just ran and jumped and like hope. Do you guys not understand these are fighters? I don't know how you guys expect someone to go in there and finish someone who's running away. If you put me in there with Aspinall, I'm just going to run away and I'm going to survive. How do you lose to someone like Kenny? He has zero experience. Because I ran away. Yeah, but like, fuck. Like, Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua was a great example of just running away and like landing. Well, Jake Paul won a round or two against him, so I can't really compare that because Figgy didn't win a round. He was just running away and wasn't trying to counter-strike. At least Jake Paul was trying to counter-strike. You know, Jake Paul had a closer fight with Anthony Joshua than Figgy had Umar. But people are going to look at this and they're going to blame Umar because he was the guy advancing, but they're not going to blame the guy who was running away because that's how things work nowadays. You're going to blame the guy you just don't like. So you don't like Umar, right? So you're going to blame that he was advancing too much. Umar was doing too much strikes, dude. Umar was striking too much. Yeah, whatever. But I get it. I get what the narrative's going to play after this fight, and it is what it is, man. Umar's better than him. Simple as. Like, I don't know what else to say. He obviously he's more deserving off this title fight. He's more deserving for a title fight off this performance than Sugar is for nearly losing the song. But that's my opinion. But neither here or there. Umar flawless for victory. They're going to hate because they ain't us. Simple as. Gautier versus Pulyaev. Yeah, people say Gautier fraud check. I don't really know why. He wins by decision. Pulyaev also survived against CLD, which is where but I was thinking to myself, I even thought to myself, this is going to be a hard puzzle for Gautier to solve. I said because of long range, it'd be a hard time for him to solve, but he might eventually get to him. But every single time Pulyaev would get hurt, Gautier lacked the killer instinct. Here's the problem with Gautier. I applauded him earlier for being patient because I said that some people, like Ngannou, was like, when he hurts you, he runs after you. Gautier hurts you and he's patient and tries to pick his shots. That actually played more to his detriment than a positive thing in this fight because he lacked that killer instinct when Pulyaev could have got pushed out of there. And then secondly, he doesn't know how to cut off the ring at all. Pulyaev was just circling left the whole time and he wasn't cutting him off, so he's throwing his power hand, which is his right, while he's circling to the left. If you're throwing a power hand and someone's circling to the left, you're going to miss every time. But he was 1-2, 1-2 the whole time. And when you're doing this, cut off the ring, move to the left with him, make him forced to go right, and that's when you throw your right hand. He just doesn't know how to cut off the ring. He's still 23 years old. Like, he's my age, dude. He's young. So he's a kid, bro. So I'm not going to be too harsh on him, but his lack of ability of cutting off the ring is very concerning, but he's 23, still an easy fix. Puliev's actually unironically a pretty good striker for his range. Like, he has good body kicks. He has a good chin. He was getting hit with some heavy shots, but he was just eating them. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't really think this is a fraud check. I think it's a good learning curve for Gautier. Learn how to cut off the ring. Yes, you have a good right hand, but most people you go against don't know how to circle. Pulyaev is very experienced. He went full distance with CLD, you know. So, you know, it is what it is, you know. So if you could learn how to cut people off, I think Gautier would be a lot better, but he definitely needs to work on that because that was very concerning how he kept throwing that right hand while Pulyaev was just circling to the left. Like, I don't know if he thought it was going to land. I don't know what that was, but he needs to fix that. But otherwise, good performance by Gautier. Krylov versus Bukauskas. I feel like I was the only one in the world who picked Krylov, and he gets it done by KO. And it's funny because he was fighting so dumb because he kept throwing like the teep kick where he would miss the teep kick and Bukauskas would counter him with a hook. But he was doing enough to win. Like, you have close striking exchanges, then mixing the wrestling in the right time. So, in my opinion, he actually was up 2-0 maybe. And the third round came around. He was doing good work. It was back and forth. And then he finished him in the last 3 seconds. And at this point, he kept the 100% finish rate in the card alive. Because before this fight was all finishes, he kept it up with the last buzzer beater finish. And Bukauskas looked like Bukauskas, man. Like, he never stuck out to me, which is why I didn't pick him. I didn't think he was that good. His best accolades being the training partner of Tom Aspinall. and he got flatlined, man. Like, he got hurt, and then the ground and pound put him off. Krylov is, like, I don't think he's bad, because I still think his tendencies of just throwing teep kicks, missing, and then getting hit with counters, and the fact that he kept throwing that teep kick knowing he was going to get countered, it was very unimpressive. Like, I don't know why he did that. Like, you got to show some improvement. He didn't really show improvement. Bukauskas sucks, so that's why I picked Krylov to begin with. Now, Alex Perez, Charles Johnson. So this is the fight that actually didn't end up going 100% because this stupid fight. I, for some reason, thought Johnson was going to win. I think a lot of people thought that as well because we expected Johnson to be unpredictable. But it seemed like the entirety of the fight from the first start of the bell, he was moving weird. He was so twitchy. And Alex Perez just seemed a lot more calm. He would throw down the middle. It looked like he was just landing better. And then he ultimately just catches him. And once he rocked Johnson wasn't trying to go anywhere. He was tough. But Perez, it was the beginning of the end. Perez hurt him. And since he hurt him after that, Johnson never fully recovered. I do respect energy. But yeah, there goes his rematch opportunity with Joshua Van. I do think Van would have got him in the rematch, to be fair. But unfortunate for Johnson. He's still a gamer. You know, he's a gamer. I know he's a good fighter, but Alex Perez kind of made him look insignificant in this fight. Like, all respect, because, you know, Energy is a pretty cool guy, but he just gets done pretty bad by Alex Perez. So shout out Perez for getting it done. The only pick I got wrong in the card. Shame on me. And then the first two fights, we got Josh Hawkins versus Denzel Freeman. Hawkins just put a bad beating on him, wrestled him, did whatever he wanted with him. This guy landed 0 strikes. Look at that stat, chat. Look at that. 71 strikes to 0. Just know that's a real stat. Grown man landing 0 strike with an M Denzel, brother. Very embarrassing. Gets done up. And then Josh Hawkins with the corny. He has like a whole corny gimmick. He's kind of funny though. Such a cringe post-fight thing, but it was very funny to me. I can't lie. So congratulations to Josh Hawkins getting it done against Denzel Freeman. He also had a funny call out as well. I forgot who he called out. Who did he call out? Cortes-Acosta, who just won. Honestly, him versus Cortes-Acosta is close. I think he could win, honestly. It depends if he fatigues, though. But that'll be a good fight. I actually want to see that. But yeah, Hawkins, masterclass. Then Ty Miller versus Adam Fugit. Good first round finish by Ty Miller. Don't care much about Fugit. Ty Miller looks promising. Nothing to rave about, though. But those are the full cards. You know, I get 100% pick rate. You know, technically, we made bread this card. Overall, great card. Paddy Pimblett gets fraud checked. You love to see it. Dana White's plans go to shit. Dana White, stop giving undeserved title shots, or shit like this will happen more often. That's it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and God bless. 2, 3.